As for Charlie's generation, they are generally called young master and young miss. On the phone, Cynthia spoke with a high-pitched tone. "Isaac, are you in Orus Hill recently?" Isaac hurriedly said respectfully, "Miss Back, I'm in Orus Hill." Cynthia gave a hum, and said, "Tomorrow, vacate the presidential suite of Shangri-La Hotel, and arrange for a convoy to pick me up from the airport. I will fly there in the morning." Cynthia usually travels by private jet, so there is no specific departure time at all. Get up early and go a little earlier, get up late and go a little later. After listening, Isaac asked in surprise, "Miss, you are coming to Orus Hill? Don't know what else needs to be prepared next?" Cynthia asked, "What has Charlie been up to lately?" "Young master." Isaac glanced at Charlie, who was expressionless in the back seat, through the rearview mirror of the car, and said, "He is not busy. He should be at home with his wife." "Right." Cynthia said in a somewhat contemptuous tone, "The dignified young master of the Wade family, it's not fine to join a low-class family in a third-rate city. Gave him an Emgrand group. If he doesn't manage it well, he only knows how to stay home with his wife and do housework every day. Pathetic." Isaac was embarrassed and didn't know how to answer the conversation for a while. After thinking for a while, he asked, "Miss, are you here this time to see young master?" "Right." Cynthia said, "Tomorrow night, let Charlie come to Shangri-La to see me, so I will invite him to dinner." Isaac hurriedly said, "Oh, well, I'll talk to him later." "Yeah." Cynthia said, "By the way, I am a person who recognizes a bed when sleeping. What brand of bed does the master bedroom of your presidential suite use?" Isaac thought for a while and said, "It seems to be the Black Label series of Simmons in the United States, all imported with original packaging." Cynthia blurted out, "Replace it. Change to a bed from Swedish Heistang, and ask for their high-end series. Heistang's bedding can be said to be the most expensive bed in the world. Any entry-level mattress costs hundreds of thousands, and a high-end series mattress costs millions. If you add the bed frame, at least 2 million. Even a 5-star hotel would not use such an expensive bed." But now that Cynthia has spoken, Isaac can only agree and say, "Miss, Orus Hill might not have a Heistang store. In this way, I will arrange for someone to buy it at Zhanghai tomorrow morning, and then drive it back to replace it." "Yeah." Cynthia's voice sounded satisfactory, and continued, "Yes, there are quilts. I want to cover the quilt made of Icelandic goose down. Arrange it as well for me. Iceland goose down is the world's top and most precious and rarest top down. It uses soft down on the breast and underarms of the Iceland goose duck. It is very precious and is made into a quilt, which costs at least 1 million. In other words, if Cynthia came to stay one night, just preparing the bed and quilt would cost at least 3 million. Isaac did not dare to have any doubts, and immediately said, "Okay, eldest lady, I will do everything tomorrow." Cynthia hummed, "Okay, so be it, I'll hang up." After speaking, she directly hung up the phone. Charlie frowned at this moment and asked, "My aunt, suddenly coming to see me, what kind of medicine is sold in the gourd?" Hearing Charlie's question, Isaac was also puzzled. "Master, to be honest, don't know your aunt. In my capacity, it's actually difficult to have direct contact with the Wade family's direct members. Steward Stephen will have more daily contact with them. Why don't you call and ask him?" Charlie waved his hand and said indifferently, "Forget it, it doesn't make sense to call and ask. Soldiers will stop you and the water will cover you. Let's see what she wants to do first." Isaac asked again, "Then will you go to dinner with her tomorrow?" Charlie nodded. "Go, if you set a time, tell me directly when the time comes, and you won't use it to pick me up, I will come by myself." "Okay." Charlie thought of his aunt's previous appearance. In his mind, she was a relatively mean and evil woman. When he was 5 years old, she married a young master from a quasi-first-line family in Eastcliff, and later gave birth to a son. Don't know his name. So Charlie asked Isaac, "Old man, what is the status of my aunt at Wade's house now?" "It stands to reason that she is married, so she should not be able to intervene in family's affairs anymore?" Isaac replied truthfully, "Master, your aunt has separated from her lover a long time ago, and since the separation, she moved back to the family. Charlie frowned and asked, separated? What's the matter? Isaac chuckled and said, in fact, we shouldn't say such things, but since you asked, Master, I will tell you. Immediately, Isaac gave a slight pause and explained, when your aunt married to the Sun family, although the Sun family is not as good as the Wade family, it is still a quasi-first-line family in the entire Eastcliff family. The overall strength is also very good. However, 6 or 7 years ago, the Sun family bet on the steel industry and invested a lot of money to build a steel group. It coincided with the continuous collapse of the steel industry, so the Sun family also lost a lot of money, and the family industry lost at least half of its assets. Speaking of this, Isaac smiled helplessly. Since the Sun's family was gone, your aunt had always wanted to get a divorce, but Master Wade felt that the divorce was detrimental, so he didn't let her leave. Fortunately, your aunt moved from the Sun's family. Come out, went back to the Wade family, and then start working in the family again. Charlie nodded lightly and hummed, it seems that my aunt is not a fuel-efficient lamp. Isaac smiled and said, your aunt's temper is really bad, and she is also famous in Eastcliff, so when you meet with her tomorrow, if there is something wrong, don't be too impulsive. Okay, I see. Charlie smiled faintly and said, in fact, I can guess without thinking, she probably wants me to return to Wade's house. Yes. Isaac agreed and said, I think so, but Steward Stephen said that Master Wade really wants you to go back. Considering that you may be more resistant at first, so it didn't make this matter clear.